What's going on, guys? Welcome on into another edition of the Cleveland Browns Report. Coming up on today's show, we've got some really important injury news to talk about for Week 16 down in Houston. And then we're going to talk about whether or not the Browns should go out and sign this former four-time Pro Bowl edge rusher who was just released by the Carolina Panthers. But let's get started with the injury news first. First things first, Kevin Stefanski said today was a light walkthrough. Team had an early bye. They've got Thursday Night Football next week, so just a light walkthrough today. So no official practice, but if there was an official practice, these four players would not be practicing. Joel Bitonio, who left on Sunday with a back injury. Okoronkwo is still holding out hope on returning this year, but he is likely going to miss a lot more time with a pec injury. Jordan Kunaszyk with a calf injury. And then, unfortunately, Juan Thornhill, who continues to miss time with a calf injury as well. But Joel Bitonio, probably the biggest name of the bunch. He had his annual charity fundraiser just 2 days ago. Cameron Justice talked to him while he was there and asked about his back injury, any kind of update. Bitonio said, "It's feeling better today. Unfortunately, I couldn't finish the game, but those guys stepped up and I'm making progress. I'm walking around today, so that's a big positive." I feel like sometimes as fans, we lose sight of how much an injury physically pains you. For Bitonio to use walking around as a measurement for his progression, it's just crazy to think about what these players put their bodies through every single week and every single year, but we love him for it. So hopefully, big number 75 will get back out there for the Browns. Now, speaking of getting back out there were a couple of names that were not on that not practicing list. Anthony Walker, who missed last week with the knee injury. He spoke to the media today. He surely sounded like a guy that was going to play on Sunday in Houston. And then Ethan Pocic, who is dealing with a stinger. He did not play this past week. However, it does look like he should be able to return on Sunday against the Texans, which will be great because Nick Harris gets to go back to fullback, and that will hopefully help a ground game that is not good right now. I mean, go look at the numbers the last couple of weeks. They are brutal. Now, if you guys want to stay in the loop on all injury news and updates, this is the channel for you. We crossed 30,000 subscribers this past week. I really appreciate everyone who's joined the channel. But if you have not subscribed yet, consider going ahead and doing so, helping us reach our next baby milestone, 30,300 subs. Now, as for the opposition, C.J. Stroud, of course, Buckeyes fans were probably excited to see Stroud. Well, it's unlikely to happen. Reports coming out of Houston are that Case Keenum will likely start again. Stroud missed Week 15 after suffering a concussion in Week 14 against the Jets in the fourth quarter. He is still experiencing concussion symptoms. D'Amico Ryans told the media today that Stroud is still in concussion protocol. So it does not appear that the Browns will be facing the rookie sensation C.J. Stroud, who has been exactly that, sensational this season. I mean, it's funny because Jordan Akins, who maybe to some is just the Browns' backup tight end, but to people in Houston, he was public enemy number one. He was the guy that cost the Texans the opportunity to get the number one overall pick with a late touchdown against the Colts in Week 18 last year. So what did that do? It moved Houston to number 2 where they got Stroud. So I would say things have worked out pretty well for Houston after Jordan Akins came up with that huge score against the Colts in Week 18. Now, the face that we will all see most likely on Sunday is a familiar one, Case Keenum. Remember, he filled in for Baker Mayfield 2 seasons ago. He started against Tennessee in Week 15, led them to an overtime comeback win, 229 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. The guy's a vet. I would not overlook Case Keenum. Sure, you'd rather face Case Keenum than C.J. Stroud. And if I'm Jim Schwartz, I'm pinning my ears back knowing I get to go up against a not very mobile quarterback in Keenum. But Case Keenum can still get the job done. And if anyone knows that, it's you and I. We're watching Joe Flacco do it. So don't look past Case Keenum. But the upcoming quarterbacks for the Browns, like opposition-wise, Case Keenum, Zach Wilson, probably, and then Jake Browning. I mean, if you're the NFL, this is just bad, though. I mean, this is some bad quarterback play for a lot of big games down the stretch here. But Jim Schwartz and this defense, they have a really good opportunity to really put this season on ice in a good way and help the Browns get into the postseason with 10, 11, maybe even 12 wins if this is the murderer's row of quarterbacks they have to face. Now, A couple of those games are on the road, right? Houston and Cincinnati. It has been tough sledding for the Browns on the road this season. I mean, they are giving up a little over 12 points a game at home. Browns defense on the road, double it, and then some change, 26. The Browns are 7-1 at home this season. They've got one more home game against the Jets. Meanwhile, they are 2-4 on the road. So it's crucial for the Browns to improve their road defensive play, because if they don't catch up to Baltimore in the AFC North, they are going to open up the postseason on the road. So hopefully these last two road games can serve as a turning point going into a potential road playoff game. Now, today's Cleveland Browns report is sponsored by Game Time. You guys should not have to worry when you're trying to buy tickets to your next big event. Game Time is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you. So if you're trying to catch an upcoming Browns game against the Jets, for example, or maybe, I don't know, playoff game. I didn't say it. You said it. No, I said it. If they come back to beat the Ravens, well, Game Time is the place to check out first. Game Time specifically gets you guys the best last-minute pricing out there. They're obsessed with finding low-price tickets for the Dog Pound every single Sunday. It's the place to find last-minute seats. So download the Game Time app, and when you do that, create an account and use the code BROWNSCHAT for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Terms apply. And again, redeem the code BROWNSCHAT for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right, switching gears here, let's talk more about the Texans. So, like I was just saying, it doesn't look like C.J. Stroud is going to be available on Sunday for Houston, but that might not be the only rookie sensation who is not out there for the Texans. So far, Texans practice today, no Will Anderson. He was spotted in a walking boot 2 weeks ago after the Jets game. He also missed the Titans game. He's been phenomenal this year. Or Blake Cashman, that's their Anthony Walker, JOK, if you will. He's the middle of that defense. He's been really good for Houston as well. But Will Anderson, the rookie out of Alabama, he's been getting better and better as the season has gone on. 5 sacks in his rookie season, 8 tackles for loss, 42 tackles. Will Anderson has absolutely been a problem for opposing teams to game plan around as he continues to get better and better. Now, if they do not have Will Anderson coming off the edge, well, we will look at the rest of their defensive line here as Jonathan Grenard, 12.5 sacks to lead the team. So they won't have too big of an issue getting to the quarterback. Sheldon Rankins, that's their Dalvin Tomlinson, if you will. He's got 5 sacks. Jerry Hughes, the veteran, has 1 sack. They also added Derek Barnett off the waiver wire a few weeks ago from Philadelphia. So even if Will Anderson is not available on Sunday, they still have horses that can get into the backfield. And then there's Blake Cashman, right? The middle of their defense was with the Jets, and he has really revitalized his career with DeMeco Ryans. 87 tackles this year, 9 tackles for loss, and 2 sacks. Ultimately, this is nothing new for Houston. Just like the Browns, the Texans have dealt with injuries all season long, right? They lost Tank Dell for the rest of the season. Their offensive line has been beaten up this year. So they are used to a next man up mentality. This is not some out-of-pocket experience for Houston. They have been battling all season long, a lot of injuries. So don't overlook Houston thinking, oh, they're getting the injury bug just like us. No, just like the Browns, they have overcome injuries and have won a lot of games. So who you got? Browns or Texans? I feel like anytime a team has I wouldn't say miraculous, but somewhat miraculous win like the Browns and the Texans had last week, usually the next week is a bit of a letdown game. But because they're both playing each other, someone's got to win. So how about them Brownies? Give me CLE in the bottom. Now let's wrap up the show by talking about Justin Houston. I kept this at the end because there's a chance, depending on time, potentially by the time you are watching this, Justin Houston has already signed with another team. But if he's still out there, well, I think the Browns should definitely have some conversations, at least, about adding the former 4-time Pro Bowl outside linebacker who dominated for the Kansas City Chiefs for a long time. Now, he has been on IR since November 4th with a hamstring injury, and that led to him asking for his release with Carolina, with the Panthers going nowhere, and him being injured. Hopefully he can get healthy and go compete for a contending team like the Browns. But he has not done a whole lot this year. He's got half a sack in 7 games, 9 tackles. But like every other old edge rusher, go to Baltimore and you'll have a career year, right? In 2022, 9.5 sacks and 1 forced fumble for the Ravens. So maybe the Browns look at their defensive line and go, well, it's been injured a lot. We probably won't have Okoronkwo for the rest of the season. Zadarius Smith is healthy-ish, but I feel like he's always playing through something. So maybe you want to give him some rest. And if you weren't all that inspired by Isaiah McGuire, the rookie, on Sunday, maybe you decide to add to your defensive end rotation by getting Justin Houston to play a couple of games for the Browns. Because these are your 4 defensive ends, right? Myles Garrett, Zadarius Smith, Alex Wright, and just to remind you, Isaiah McGuire, the rookie out of Missouri, who really has been a healthy scratch almost all season long. But the next man up without Okoronkwo is the second-year guy out of UAB, Alex Wright, who I think has done a really good job this year, but I think he has thrived when he's been on the interior of the defensive line more, right? Kind of helping out from that 5 technique position, not so much as a stand-up outside edge rusher, which we've seen more of Zadarius Smith and Myles Garrett do this season. So Alex Wright, I think, has had a really good season for the limited snaps he has had. I feel like on other teams, he might have been maybe even a starter and have more stats down, but because he is that, at one point, 4th defensive end behind Garrett, Smith, and Okoronkwo, still has 2 sacks, 2 tackles for loss, and 1 forced fumble. So for now, I bet the Browns are content with next man up, Garrett, Smith, and Alex Wright, and then a little bit Isaiah McGuire as that number 4 guy. But we also know Blockbuster Barry is just exactly that, Blockbuster Barry. He knows how important the edge rusher position is. We saw him do that when he traded for Zadarius Smith after signing Okoronkwo, because why not? So maybe he goes, why not bring in Justin Houston? We just need him for a couple of games. He has shown us in recent years he can play at a high level. And with no Okoronkwo, we sure could use some extra depth at the edge rusher spot. So let me know. Should the Browns sign Justin Houston? Type Y for yes, type N for no. I'm definitely open to the idea of adding Justin Houston. Hand up, I haven't watched a lot of Justin Houston Panthers tape this year. So if he's truly washed, then yeah, pass on him. But if it's just the Panthers suck and everyone that was in Carolina sucked this year, but you get him on a good team, you get him with Jim Schwartz, opposite Myles Garrett, he can put up some numbers, then why not kick the tires and see if he is really healthy and can play for the Browns for the last couple of games. That's going to do it for us on today's show. Thank you so much for tuning in. I always appreciate those of you that take time out of your day to come watch our content here, and especially those of you that watch all the way to the end of the video. So, you know what? Type me in the comment section if you are still watching. I always love to know who the end of the video gang is.